everyone. Thanks for inviting and talking about ecological problems and environmental problems. In this short issue, I'll try to explain why now, at the situation of the planet by now, we need a set of sustainability indicator and why we choose the footprint family for doing this job. And I will start just giving a small and very quick overview on how the Earth by now is doing, what the humanity is doing to the Earth, and some data about what's happening. What's happening is in the last 4 decades, countries around the world are experiencing economic growth, poverty reduction, and improved welfare. These changes have been reached at the expense of the planet ecosystem precondition and ability to sustain life. In the last century, more or less, the world population has quadrupled, and the global resource consumption and waste emission has grown to a point that now humanity consumes as faster than the Earth can regenerate. Forests, for example, in tropical zone are cut faster than they can regenerate. By now, 130,000 square kilometers of forest have been destroyed every year in the last 15 years. And fisheries were caught faster than they can restock. By now, for example, in Mediterranean, the last notice from the European Commission said that more than 90% of Mediterranean stocks are under collapse, and the general world data seems that the 15% of ocean stock were depleted in the same period, so very dramatic situation for fish stocks. Another data that's important to know that the world average per capita food and service consumption has grown during the last 4 decades. Global extraction of natural resources, for example, biomass, fossil fuel, metals, and other minerals, has increased by nearly 45% in the last 25 years. And many countries in arid and semi-arid regions in the world, think about Central and West Asia, North Africa, are already close or below the threshold of water scarcity. Water scarcity is 1,000 cubic meters per capita per year. And again, more GHG emission, greenhouse gas emissions are accumulating in the atmospheres, causing what we all know about climatic change, and potential negative effects on the Earth and ecosystem are maybe under the eyes of everyone in every season. And on a per capita basis, people of high-income countries consume more resources than those that are in the lower income countries. So also we have an unequal situation in the world, not just environmental problems, also equity problems. And as this very fast scenario illustrates, these trends will likely to continue in the future if some measures are not taken. In a business as usual scenario, the global extraction, for example, natural resources could further grow by more than 50% by 2030 compared to the today's situation, and humanity demand of ecological assets could be equal to 2 Earths slightly after 2030, 2 Earths, that's in terms of footprint, ecological footprint point of view. Up to 2/3 of the world population could experience water scarcity over the next few decades. That's why we need a set of indicators, because we need to manage the planet ecological asset in becoming a central issue for decision makers all around the world. Integrated ecosystem approach can potentially best inform decision making and make them able to tackle multiple issues concurrently and help avoid additional costs to the environment. all the human activity and the pressure on the planet are linked. So we need different kind of approach to measure them. And we need to understand the different impact of these pressures. Climate change, for example, is currently seen as the most impending environmental issue, deterring society from sustainability. But unfortunately, in the search of sustainability, decision makers have approached sustainable development just through climate change lens, with a smaller focus upon impact caused by humanity, looking just to the carbon, for example, rather than all humanity metabolism of the resources has made us blind with all the other changes. The world's appetite for water, food, for timber, marine, and other resources is also very relevant with respect to the resource limit. The resource limit is because we live in a finite planet, and we have always to remember that. We have thresholds that we cannot overshoot. So, ecological footprint, carbon footprint, water footprint are able to complement traditional analysis of human demand by coupling producer and consumer perspective. This indicator presents a quantifiable basis on which we can begin a discussion and develop answers regarding the efficiency of production processes, for example, the limit of resources consumption, the international distribution of the world natural resources, what we were saying before about the inequality of resource distribution, how to address the sustainability and the use of ecological assets across the globe. For example, if we talk about ecological footprint, that's a resource and emission accounting tool designed to track human demand on the biosphere regenerative capacity, has been made by Wagener and other colleagues in 1999, and it documents both the direct and indirect pressure and demands of the human on the humanity on the world, natural world, and it compares the demand of humanity with the biocapacity, so the planet ecological asset, and comparing these two aspects, it can say if we are using too many resources, so we are in debt with the planet or not. And using this indicator is very important because we can analyze the human demand from a distinct angle under the assumption that the Earth, as we were saying, has a regenerative capacity that is a limiting factor for the human economy. And if human demand continues to overuse behind that, that will degrade the ecosystem capacity to give ecosystem services. Ecosystem services are all the services that the nature and the world can give to humanity. Think about food, clean water, clean air, timber, any kind of resources. Also, the aesthetic perception of the world is an ecological service, and they are all for free by now. So, ecological footprint, that's a very interesting thing because it translates the human demand of resources in one area. The area is very simple to understand for everyone, also for people that are not inside these arguments, because the area can be very well visualized by everyone. Think about soccer place or whatever. It's very simple to say to one person, your lifestyle, it costs to the environment 6 football places every year. So it's very, very very myotic information. And The carbon footprint, that's another one of the footprint families, measure the total amount of greenhouse gas emissions that are directly and indirectly caused by human activity and that accumulate in the atmosphere. The water footprint concept has been introduced by Oextra and Chapagain in the response for a consumption-based indicator of freshwater use. It is closely linked to virtual water concept. Virtual water concept has been made by Tony Halland of King's College of London, and it accounts for the appropriation of natural capital in terms of water volumes required for human consumption. For example, virtual water is for understanding, if you eat an hamburger, while you eat that hamburger, you are eating also 2014 liters of water. That's virtual water. You don't see that, but during the life cycle of your hamburger from the farm to your plate, it has taken the amount of water to be produced. And so footprint family for WWF, they are very important because they can be used to assist policymakers as well as academic and business and also consumers in understanding the diverse pressures of human activity on the planet. They represent a quantifiable and rational basis on which begin a discussion and develop answer on the limit on natural resources and freshwater consumption and greenhouse emissions, as well as to how to address the sustainability. We need to develop such of suite of indicators for understanding what really is happening. We need all three of indicators because each indicator gives a different information. So just putting all together, we can have a more systemic and holistic vision of the world in pressure. So WWF selected and all these three, and it is used for everything from calculating the human pressure during his most famous publication that's called the Living Planet Report, or for measuring the pressure of a business, calculating, for example, the water footprint of an agriculture business, or then for people, for consumers, making them, for example, making a virtual shopping cart that we have online, where it's possible, for example, to make your weekly shopping, and at the end you have the bill, not in terms of money, but in terms of how much water and how much CO2 emission were needed for producing the food that you are eating every week. So the potential of the use of this kind of indicator is very important, and it's very important to remember that nothing can be measured if you cannot measure it, know how big is that problem. So if you have then question about the use or of sustainability indicators, ecological footprint, water footprint, carbon footprint, I wait some questions at the end. Thank you.